Okay. Hello, hello. We are here for the Book Troop live show for the month of October. We read Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. Whoa, whoa, look at that. Oh my gosh. Marcy's is like so reflective. It was like capturing the sun.
Oh, you guys have the book of the month one?
Yeah, mine's like
I
not
don't.
reflective.
Oh, shit,
Okay.
hers is
Mine's
reflective.
very shiny.
Allie's is
Yeah.
shiny.
I did my makeup with it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're like, actually look at myself in the reflection. That's amazing. Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us for this live show. We're going to be hanging out for a bit. These are my friends Marcy and Ali, who are so awesome enough to join me for this live show. And because this is Ali's first time ever on the Book Troop, which like whoa, huge honor.
Truly.
Yeah, I would love for you both to introduce yourself. Maybe Ali, if you want to start, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel. All of their both of their channels are linked down below, by the way, for anybody that is unfamiliar with these lovely humans. But yeah, why don't you go ahead, Ali?
My name's Ali. My channel is All I Do Is Read. I just do basic booktube shit and
Not basic.
no, for real. And I read a lot of literary fiction, romance, horror, a lot of fantasy, not too much mystery, which feels illegal here today,
Okay.
but I'm getting more into it. But yeah, definitely love horror.
Very cool.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, go for it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marcy from Marcy Reads, and same shit, basic, YouTube stuff, book hauls, wrap-ups. I do more book hauls than anything because certified book shopper here.
Respect.
I shop books more than I read them, and I read mostly horror. I read a little bit of everything, really. Horror, romance, fantasy, but I'm really, really into cozy murder mysteries right now. I'm just like vibing with them.
Nice.
And yeah, that's basically it.
What's one that you would like highly recommend to check out? Not to like put you on the spot or anything.
No, there's this little series. It's a little trilogy, and it's by the Book Mystery series, and it's set in Washington, and it's my favorite freaking cozy mystery ever. I would probably reread that series like over and over again. I just love it.
Oh wow, what was it called? What did you say it was called?
It's by the Book Mystery series.
Oh, by the book.
And the first one is buried in a good book, I believe, or buried in a book. It's really, really good. The setting, the characters, it's so fun.
That's awesome. I love like the titles for the cozy mysteries. Like they always have like the cutest little like title puns.
The cutest, and they all have like recipes, which I'm a foodie. I'm all about the recipes, so give them to me.
That's cool. Yeah, that's definitely cool that they do that. But thank you so much to everybody for joining. I appreciate this, Kendall. Thank you for anticipating this. How fun. Thank you all for being here. So before we get into it, I would love to know if you are here because you read along with us this month, or if you're just here to hang out, because it will be a minute before we jump into spoilers. So if you're just here to hang out, that's cool. But maybe in the chat, if you would like to put a red heart if you read the book this month, and then maybe a little house emoji if you did not read along with us and you're just here to hang out. And then while everybody in the chat is doing that, would one of you want to like pitch this book, like a non-spoiler synopsis, just for anybody who hasn't read the book yet? To know about Alice,
I was trying to be nice and like let her go, but okay, I will.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Basically, we're just following Bella, and she, I believe, is 8 years old, and she lives at home with her mommy, her daddo, and also the other mommy, which is kind of creepy. But basically, the other mommy comes out every night from her closet, and she has one question for her, and that is, will you let me into your heart? And Bella's sort of like procrastinating the answer. She says no, but this other mommy is getting a little bit riled up, and she's getting further and further away than just the closet. She's coming out in other places and stuff, and she wants her answer. And Bella is afraid for her family and what might happen to her if she does not answer the other mommy.
Wow, that was perfect. That was like really great. Yeah, I know this book is like a tough one to pitch because I'm like, like the synopsis gives away like very little, so it's like, okay, like other mommy, like there's something going on, and like Marcy was saying, this entire book is told from the perspective of a young 8-year-old-ish girl. So very unique choice. I don't know many books that take place entirely from the perspective of a young human. So thank you for that, Marcy. I appreciate it. now, I would love in the chat if you could let us know your ratings for this book out of 5 stars. I'm very excited to see how everybody felt about this book. I feel like when this book first came out, because I think this one came out around like June this year, I think.
Yeah.
When it first came out, I was hearing everybody like absolutely loving it, like 5 stars, like best book of the year. Like I was hearing that from everybody. And then it wasn't until like recently in the last couple of weeks that I've been seeing some people who are like, I hated this. And like, so I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So at first I thought I was getting nonstop like glowing reviews, but now in the last couple of weeks, I'm like, oh, okay, it is a little bit more mixed than I thought it would be. So I am very curious to see how you both and everybody else here too has felt about this, because it does look like it's kind of a mixed bag. But while everybody's doing that, Ali, would you want to kick us off with like your rating?
Okay.
And then just a brief why.
I've been so back and forth about this, and while reading it, I had so many like different ratings, but I think I'm landing, and like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh wait, this is more layered than I thought. I'm landing on a 3.75.
Oh, okay. Not too bad.
I did like Bella's perspective. I thought that was really cool. But there's a certain chunk of this book where I'm like, what the F was going on? I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
And not like it was confusing. Like I don't know. I guess we'll get into it when we get into spoiler stuff. But then the ending, I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna bump that back up.
Oh, nice. Okay. Very cool. All right, Marcy, how did you feel about this one?
I ended up giving it 3 stars. Now, while I was reading the book, I was like invested. I was in. There was parts that I didn't like, but what messed it up for me was kind of the ending, and just little tidbits. I know, but
no, I love this. I love this.
I am so happy that I'm here, because usually when I come on lives to discuss books that I rate lower than a 4 or a 5, I end up coming back and changing my rating because I get other people's perspective, because sometimes things just go over my head, and I think that's what happened in this book. So I'm so eager to discuss like the spoilery parts, because I might change it, but I really did enjoy it. I liked our main character. I hated, are we there yet? Maybe I won't discuss who I hated yet, but I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I actually really appreciate the fact that both of you have different ratings than I do, because I love having like variety on the live shows, and I also love that you said opposite things from each other, because I love that we're gonna get like multiple takes here. So, very cool. I ended up giving this book like 5 stars. Like I wanted to give this 6 stars. Like I was screaming from the rooftops when I like finished reading this. I don't know, dude. Like it really worked for me. Like everything about this worked for me. I have loved some from Josh Malerman in the past, which we will get into as well. But I wasn't thinking that I was gonna love this the way that I did, and it's so rare for me to have like this much success with a book troop pick. So I was totally shocked and flabbergasted that this one worked for me the way that it did. But yeah, very exciting.
Makes me happy.
It makes me happy too.
I went and watched her vlog as soon as I finished. I was like, yes, she got it. And then I was like, wait, now I'm scared to talk about it with
I know. No worries. Like I am not the kind of person that gets like weird or salty about people not like loving my favorite books as much. Like I'm not like that at all. So I love having discussions. And I can't wait to discuss this one, because I do think there's a lot of cool things to talk about. But thank you so much to everybody who was reading along with us this month. It looks like we have so many people rating it in the chat, and it does seem like I was expecting there is a little bit of a mixed bag here, but it does look like we have a lot of high ratings. So I'm glad that it looks like this book did work for a lot of people. I did want to ask you about like your experience with Josh Malerman. Like, have you read from him before? And if so, like, where does this one rank for you personally? Like, is this one a top favorite from him? Ali, if you want to start.
A House at the Bottom of the Lake is one of my all-time favorite books.
Yes.
It's like a 6 out of 5.
Yes.
Absolutely worship it. And then Daphne, I gave that book away because it was 2 stars. I hated it. Like I actively was like angry while I was reading it, which is sad because it's not really that bad. But I feel like it was just so, I feel like all horror is a metaphor, right? But then Daphne, it was like, here it is. And I couldn't handle it. And this was like a mix between the two. So it's definitely like not hitting like this was, but it's definitely better for me than Daphne was.
Okay. And those are the 3 that you read from him only?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Marcy?
Josh Malerman is one of my all-time favorite authors. I adore him. I have read 6 of his novels, but I own them all. I own special editions of his books. I just really, really love him. My favorite, I'm in between The House at the Bottom of the Lake and also Bird Box. Bird Box I've read like 6 times already.
Oh, wow.
And it's just my favorite. Another one I really do like is Daphne, but I can't remember the details of that book like I could the other two. As far as incidents around the house, I think it's after the house at the bottom of the lake, before Daphne. Even though I rated Daphne 4 stars, so higher than this one. So, but I like the creep factor more in this one than Daphne. But I love Mallerman has like a stilted, I say stilted, but it's more like a clipped way of writing where he gives you the sentence. It's like, there is a pie on the table and it is hot. You know, it's not like it's on a flowery plate with yellow, you know, he's not very descriptive. And I think that in this book, in Incidents Around the House, he really got to play with that because we are getting the perspective from a kid. So I enjoy that about his writing.
What's your least favorite of his? I'm just curious.
My least favorite? Oh man, I would have to look on my Goodreads, which I just did, but I'll tell you that whenever I find that.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even realize. I was like, how many books does he have published? Because I'm like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's any from him that I haven't read. I think I want to say I've read 5 from him though, so maybe I am missing something. But I also have read Bird Box. I've read Mallory, the sequel, and then I also read House at the Bottom of a Lake, Daphne, and then this one. I don't know if I'm missing anything.
There's like a collection called Spin About Black Yarn.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, I did read that. I DNF'd it though, unfortunately. Oh yeah, and Goblin. Thank you, Kendall. Goblin. I also DNF'd Goblin. But I think, I don't know, it's hard for me to pick favorites with this author because I do think like his books feel very different to me. And I don't know, like his ideas are always different. Like this is like the only book as far as I can remember that has the point of view of a child. And so that was very interesting, but I do think this one might be my favorite. I don't know. I'm bouncing between this one, House at the Bottom of a Lake, or Daphne. Like I really loved all 3 of these so much. And they've really just become my whole personality, honestly. But I think, I don't know, it's like, I think this one is most similar to Daphne in my opinion, just because it's like we're following a young person who is feeling a lot of anxiety about their life. And then like these horror things are kind of like metaphors for like what's going on with them mentally. I feel like they just have that in common. And so I think because Daphne worked for me so much, like it was one of my favorite horror books in the year that I read it. I feel like this one really worked for me, and even more so than Daphne did. But I don't know which book I found scarier, because I think they were both scary for like different reasons, but they had a lot of similarities in terms of like that feeling too. So yeah, I know. Marcy, did you read Goblin? Like, was Goblin one of your?
So I started Goblin. I started Goblin, and I think I've read like 2 or 3 of the stories. I haven't finished the whole collection yet. At least I don't think, not that I can remember. If I did, then that would be 7 books by him. But I don't think I finished that one yet. But I love how we get it mentioned here. So
yeah, I'm so dumb. I forgot so many. Like, okay, Unbury Carol is another one that I forgot he wrote. I haven't actually read that one. That's one of the only ones I haven't.
I think I gave that one 3 stars. It was kind of boring, very different than the rest of his stuff.
Yeah, it's more historical, right?
Yeah, it is. It's very like back in the day. And it's very, I just like the atmosphere in that one and like the setting.
Okay, cool. Also, I completely forgot about Inspection. I have read Inspection. I think I gave that one like a lower rating as well. And then Pearl. How did I forget Pearl? I love Pearl.
Yeah, I read Pearl too.
Yeah, Pearl is a very unique one because it's like kind of like a pig point of view at times. And like that was very interesting, very different. So very cool. I should have fact checked myself before I went live. I'm so sorry. Like I was like, what? How many books does he publish? Like I can't remember. So very cool. So my next question is going to be, this is still non-spoilery by the way, but did you enjoy reading from the point of view as a kid? And did either of you listen to the audiobook for this?
Yeah, I listened to the audiobook.
How did you feel about it?
I was kind of like, when I first bought it, because I usually listen to a sample because I had to get it through Audible. The wait at the library was way too long. And I'm like, damn, do I really want to waste a credit? But I'm like, you know what? It's Mallerman. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then when I start playing it and I hear that little girl, I'm like, oh gosh.
Like in a good way or a bad way?
In a very like irritating way, but I sort of got used to it. But she just sounded younger than age. I thought we were listening to like a 4-year-old's perspective, so I was like kind of weird about that. But I sort of got used to it and I pushed through. But it was kind of irritating at first.
Okay,
I did not listen to the audiobook, and now I kind of wish I did just for the experience because I've heard so many people talking about it. I read it with my eyeballs and I really liked it because it was so approachable because like you said, he does have a really simplistic type of like narration style.
Yeah.
But I thought it made it so much easier to like get into because I was just like, I can't put it down. I'm here with Bella. We're good. I do think that she read a little young for some parts, but I didn't find her like irritatingly like disingenuous, except for in one part, which is where I felt like she was acting older than 8. I don't know.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I know. I did listen to this on audio, and I actually really liked the audiobook experience. Like, I don't know, because I don't know for sure if they actually got like a little girl to read the audiobook or if they just like pitched some woman's voice. Like, I have no idea how they did it.
I thought I read that she was a teenager, but I might be making that up, so don't take that to the grave, please.
Yeah, because at the end when she, because you know, there's parts where the mom and the dad talk that it sounds like a regular aged person, regular aged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then at the end, when they give the credits, she's still in her young voice. So I don't know if it was multiple. Oh, okay, 17 in real life. She sounded really young.
I know. I was really surprised because, like, when I was listening to this, I was like, did they actually get a kid? Like, I was like kind of mind blown because I was like, it sounds like for me, it really sounded like a little girl, and I was like shocked by that because I thought I would get annoyed, but honestly, like, I thought her voice, like, she was just so like innocent and sweet,
Cute.
and like, yeah, it was cute. And then like, but when she was like trying to convey like emotion or fear in her voice, like I genuinely felt that, and I was like, oh my god, like the voice actor whoever did this, I thought it was incredible because I was like, wow, like she was really able to capture that like childhood innocent like voice, but then also keep it creepy and like keep the vibes that were necessary. Like I don't know, I was very impressed. But I know a lot of people. Sorry,
if, like, I had listened to it, I wonder if my rating would be higher. I feel like that might affect it.
I don't know. I feel like I'm seeing such mixed reviews though for the audiobook. Like people either seem to really like it or just hate it. Like I see so many people being like, "This is the most annoying audiobook I've ever listened to." Because it's a lot of her repeating like "Dado" and "Dado" and "Mom." It is a little bit.
Oh my gosh! Now the Dado.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It won't work for everyone, for sure. But did you enjoy reading from the point of view of a child, or did you find it to get kind of like repetitive and annoying, or like was there anything about like do you think the story could have been better if it included multiple point of views, or like how did you feel about reading from the perspective of only the child?
I loved it because we as readers could tell certain things were going on, but like Bella couldn't quite. So I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like and very sneakily without obviously saying something. It's like, oh, there are signs. So I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I thought that just like what Ali said, that you could just get the innocence and you can get the perspective of a child fully. And she couldn't see or understand the things that we were, which was pretty cool. It brought you to her level. So I enjoyed that part. I wish, I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy the audiobook. I did enjoy it after I got used to it, but I wish I would have gone into this one physically without the audio, because I think I would have really invested myself in the character more than the actual voice and infliction she was giving it.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, very cool to hear. I love how there's so many differing opinions when it comes to this audiobook. I feel like they did really take a risk with this audiobook, making it sound like such a little girl, but I feel like for me it paid off just because it made the experience feel even more like realistic and just kind of like, yeah, I mean, like you were saying, the fact that this entire book is told from a little girl's point of view, it makes it even more creepy in a way because you're reading from her perspective, from the perspective of like a little girl who doesn't fully understand like some of the things that are happening, and like I think that makes it more interesting because like I don't think it would have been as interesting or creepy if we had gotten like an adult point of view or something, like I don't know, like I do also like the choice.
That part where I forget who said it in the book, but like how certain things are scarier for adults because they don't believe in things.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because Bella was sometimes point blank about it, and it definitely wouldn't be like that if the adult had a point of view.
Exactly. Yeah. I know it reminded me a little bit of The Troop in that way, because that's one of the only other horror books I've read where it kind of talks about that idea of like, like children are more willing to accept things like that are happening in their lives because their imaginations are more wild, whereas like adults already understand reality to like be a certain way, so like it's harder for them to wrap their minds around things that are impossible or whatever, like I really liked that kind of discussion. So I agree, the kid perspective just added to the vibes. All right, well, I think we're gonna go ahead and jump into some spoilers because we've been here about 20 minutes and there's lots to talk about with this one. So if we've convinced you to pick this one up, then that's fantastic. I hope you do, and we'll be jumping into some spoilers from this point forward, because one of the things that I want to talk about spoiler wise right away is like, did you find this book scary? And if so, like what were some of the creepiest things about this book for you personally? Because I know different things scare different people, so like
I will say the scariest effing thing was when she goes to the bathroom in the middle of the night. She's sitting on hairy mom's legs.
Yeah.
I go to the TMI maybe, but in the middle of the night, I don't want to like wake up my husband, so I always go to the bathroom in the dark. Can't do that anymore.
You're like, never again.
No.
Oh man.
We don't want no other mommies.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, I found certain parts of this really creepy. I wouldn't say scary, but like it was fun creepy. And then that particular scene, I was like, get this away from me.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, I found it, I mean, it didn't scare me. It's really hard for a book to scare me. I'll get like maybe little chills or something. Or like one part that I found creepy was when they would be downstairs, her and the dad, and then she would hear the creaking, because I would imagine like sitting down somewhere, being by myself and hearing creaking, like somebody's walking upstairs. Like I found those parts really, really creepy. Or when she said that she saw the lady's face or whatever monster it is on the ceiling.
Oh my God.
What? No, ma'am. No, I would be like, Dad, there's something there. We need to leave. But it wasn't like scary, like, oh my gosh, I'm dying.
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like, I guess creepy is definitely more the word that I would use to describe this instead of scary. But I agree that like some of the freakiest things in this book for me, like just the descriptions of this other mommy in general really freaked me out. Like I don't like the way I don't like the way they'd be like, oh, sometimes her eyeballs are like on the sides of her head, or like, oh, sometimes like she has like hair on the back of her arms. Like, what do you mean? And then like when they would say, oh, sometimes she slides on her stomach. What?
Like, what an icon. I find it kind of funny. Just imagining she's like, how can I gag them today? I don't know. Let's try my eyes on the back of my head.
Like, I hate that. And honestly, the scariest thing, I guess, for me in this book is when she kind of took on the personality and the look of the mother and like impersonated her in that one scene. Oh my God, absolutely not. Like, I hate that. Like, I hate like I hate the idea of any kind of like monster demon thing being able to like take on the look of somebody that you trust and love and then like take advantage of you in that way. I think that's so scary. Like that is horrifying. Yeah, so I think for me that was probably like the scariest thing. Also, like I think other mommy was also scary because she could like get out of the house. You know, like I think that one scene in the park was like shocking because I was like, wait, she's out of the house. Like, what do you mean?
Yes, when she was in the little cave thing and she like falls and stuff, I was like, wait, what? Like, can you imagine going to a little cave thing and no, ma'am.
Wait, Amanda said something about the mommy in the ocean, and all I could think about in that scene was Victoria in New Moon coming to kill Bella. All I was thinking about. And I was like, this is fun.
Oh my gosh. That is so funny. Yeah, she's so quirky. Yeah, there's something about the stomach sliding that just, I'm like, no, I could do without that. Yeah, and they could hear the inhalation of breath in a silent room. Yeah, it was like the little details about this book, I think that really freaked me out and worked for me. But
I think also when other people started hearing it too, and I knew it wasn't just Bella, I was like, okay, this is serious.
Yeah.
I think the first one was at the party, but then I enjoyed so much when the mom comes up, because she's thinking it's her daddle that's walking up to the thing, and she wants to tell the mom, stop talking, because daddle's coming, but it's in reality her mom. And I was like, oh my goodness, like what? But I like when the mom saw it and she was like, what the hell? Okay, like this is true. Nobody was believing this poor little girl.
I know. I was gonna say the mom finding out like what was going on or like seeing it for herself was definitely a turning point, I think, in the book, because it's like, oh my gosh, now you know it's not just Bella's imagination. Like something is actually happening, and like she can see it with her own eyes too as the adult. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, I was wondering too, like as far as like the plot of this book goes, were you kind of expecting it to go in the direction of like they need to get an exorcism, or like is that kind of how you saw this going, or were you thinking it was going to be more like, or like did that surprise you, or were you kind of like expecting that?
I was a little surprised when it happened. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah, when I saw it, because I had planned to read this during a 24-hour reading vlog. That didn't happen. I read this book and then I fell asleep on the couch. But when I saw The Exorcist, like we need an exorcist, I put it on like my vlog because I was about to read The Exorcist right after. But so I was so shocked, and I got my reaction to that. But then I do feel like that trying to get rid of it and failing happened one too many times for me.
I
I was
would
like,
agree. I would agree with that. I was gonna say, like, I thought as soon as like the Exorcist part got introduced into the book, I was like, oh no, because I usually like hate exorcism books. Like I always talk about how
really?
like I never like reading about them. I think they're so like boring and repetitive. And like you were saying, like once they come in and they try to get rid of it and it doesn't work, so it's like it's the same thing over and over again. And then I always find the books to read the same. So when that trope got introduced, I was like, oh fuck, like I'm not
Oh,
gonna like this as much, and I was worried about it. But I don't know, like there was something about the story to me that felt really realistic the way they went about it, you know, because like
mm.
I feel like that felt very real to me that like you would try to go to your friends first and then your friends would be like, what the actual fuck is going on? And then like
Get
kick you
out.
out and be scared. Yeah. And then like you'd have to go to your mom and then like try to figure things out. And then you'd have people trying to like take advantage of you being in a situation like that and just trying to like see a ghost or whatever, you know, like I don't know, I felt like it was
When
very
that
real.
yeah. When that guy like was like, I just wanted to touch her face. I was like, what the F is wrong with you?
Like, what a
Yeah.
creep. What
Yeah.
was that?
Creeper.
That was so weird
And
though,
you know
because he's like, I wanted to see it. Like he knew what they were talking about. So
Yeah.
I
yeah.
find that really interesting. I want to know more about that.
I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I was left hanging like that a lot. Like that chick Lois, that was
Something was
the
fishy about her.
I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, okay, like I felt like that was just like filler because nothing was ever resolved other than the mom slapping her, and like I was like, okay, and
Lois
that
should
was
have been
it. Like
slapped her
there was
back.
no more of her.
Yeah. I
If
And
I were
know.
then
Lois, I would have been like,
exactly, I would have been like, bitch, them worrying about your child. Like, no.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because I never looked at the exorcism part like a surprise, but I was fairly surprised now that I think about it because I wasn't expecting that, but I wasn't not expecting that, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. It was
mhm.
like in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
definitely
mean,
agree with you, Gabby, that it was very realistic how many things they tried, but it did
yeah.
get a little repetitive for me.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. I think that's like the weakest point of this book for me is that it does start to feel a little bit repetitive at times when I was like, okay, I could have done with like one less scene of them like trying and failing.
Yeah.
But I think it was an interesting like plot point to make the parents kind of have to like work together to save their daughter, you know, because like they
Yeah.
were kind of having like a rocky relationship throughout the book. And I also think that was interesting to read about a parent like the parents going through something in their relationship from the point of view of their daughter who could like she could tell like something was wrong and something was happening between them, but she didn't really know fully like what was going on there. So I thought it was interesting to get her perspective and almost like she felt like she couldn't really talk to them about the other mommy because she thought it would like you know start to make their marriage fall apart even more. Like she was
It's
it's like
sad.
it's sad. Yeah, it's sad that she was like thinking of them in that way. And like that's why I feel like the overall tone of this book is very sad. Like
It's like I have a theory about the ending, and like it makes it
yeah.
even more like I don't know, horrific,
Yeah.
obviously,
No, I
but
would love to get into that because I'm like, okay, this ending, right? Like the very ending, when I'm thinking like, do you think the end of this book is that like other mommy possesses her at the end of the book and that's kind of like how it happens? Because I do feel like the ending is a little bit ambiguous, right? Like
Yes, I hate ambiguous endings. Like,
I
give
love it.
me
I love
straight.
ambiguous endings.
I love it because I came up with a whole theory, and it like made me want to reread the book again.
Okay, we need
So
to hear it.
Yeah, I want to hear this theory.
okay, this might not be original. Everyone in the chat's probably like, "Duh, Ali," but
No, I want to hear it.
so they switch places. Is what my understanding is. But
Yeah.
I don't think that Bella becomes like another mommy for another child. I feel like she goes back in time
Oh.
to when Bella is like she is the other mommy to herself. And like
Oh.
this whole time, every one of her family members is trying to get rid of other mommy. And it's like, it makes me so sad because the whole time Bella is like hearing her mom say like, I wish I would have dropped this girl off and never picked her up again. And like, I feel so tethered to this person. And so I feel like it's so deep in that way.
Okay, you
Because it's
just
like,
give me chills.
I know. I'm like, whoa.
because it's like, I
That's
feel bad for
crazy.
other mommy because no one wants her around. But what if it was Bella like trying
whole
to get back
time.
into her body and like trying to communicate
Yeah.
with herself and like
That's
trying to
fascinating.
get to her family, and then she finally like lost it, and she's like, I know what I have to do. I don't know,
Yeah.
because how sad would that be? Is because
Yeah.
Bella feels maybe unwanted as Bella, and then
Right.
she becomes this like this monstrous creature who's so unwanted because she's like
Oh,
a demon. I don't know. That's my theory.
That's kind
But
of
she's the
brilliant,
same person.
actually, I would say. Yeah, that's a really great
Yeah, I
theory.
love that one too. But then like what I don't get is like that she says, oh, the room is so much bigger, the
Yeah, I
closet
didn't get
is
that.
so much bigger. Like, what is she see? I wish we would have gotten more of like where she went and what she was seeing other than like the big room. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a very solid theory. I
Yeah.
think one of my theories that I was having throughout the book is that once we were learning kind of about the mom's affair, I was thinking like, what if other mommy is her mom, but like in some alternate dimension where she like didn't have an affair and didn't fuck up like her life or something, and then was like trying to get through to her like that's not even your real mom, like I'm your real mom kind of thing. Like I was that's where my head was going at times.
I was trying to at one point think, oh, what was that movie with Jordan Peele with the scissors?
Oh, Us. Yeah,
I was thinking like that Bella this whole time like swapped in the beginning with other mommy, and that like other mommy was just trying to get her life back.
Yeah,
but that wasn't. I guess that could be a theory. I don't know.
It's interesting. I mean, I personally like that the ending is a little bit ambiguous and that you can kind of theorize about it. Like I tend to love like endings like that where it's a little like, you know, you can think about it. But
Marcy's like, nah.
Marcy's like, no, I can do it now.
Things really go over my head a lot. And so I'm always like, wait, did I miss something? I need like a clear ending. I want to know what she's looking at, where she's going, like what, like what's going on. And so like, are the parents dead? Did they die? Because they're on the floor face down. She says, mommy's face down, like she fell asleep. Her dad's face down. The grandma's
in the closet.
Ruth.
That's true. I have no idea.
See, Ruth was my favorite character. She was the only sane one there that was trying to like, you know, help this little girl. But what happened?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking in my theory too, which would be really, what is the word I keep forgetting? Not traumatic, or obviously it would be, but it would be horrible if Bella is actually other mommy and eventually she would get back into her body, but then she'd wake up and like her family would be dead and like now what?
Dude, that's crazy. Yeah, that's sad.
If they are
what
dead.
happens to her? Like regardless if it's other mommy or not, it's still a little girl that's left behind at 8 years old. So like what happens there?
And then like I don't know, so much shit that she's heard. And
what let's talk about the therapy sessions, please. Who does that? I never sat in my daughter's room talking about me cheating or drinking or letting my daughter come to a party where everybody's just like giggling and with the smoke. No,
I agree that's slightly unrealistic to me that like they would be spewing all of their secrets while the daughter's like laying there asleep. I find that a little bit like, you know, convenient, I guess, for the plot, I guess I'd say. Yeah, it's a little convenient.
That mom, I would have smacked that bitch. Like, oh my gosh. Like at first I was trying to be empathetic. I was like, okay, she's dealing with a lot. She was a very independent woman. I understand that. And I empathize. Well, not truly because I'm not a mom, but you know.
Yeah.
And then it's like she's going from telling her kid this shit when she thinks she's asleep, which is weird enough. Yeah. And then there's a scene where Bella's on the couch and they're all like in the living room because they're scared. And Dado's like, is she asleep? And the mom says, I don't think so. And then she still goes on to talk about how she hates being tethered. And then to end it with on that drive home where the mom's just like fully aware that Bella's in the back seat listening to her say she wished she could drop her off and never pick her up again.
Yeah.
Jail time.
Yeah. I know.
At that point, yes, other mommy, come take me because like I just heard my mom talking about this shit. So just let's go.
It's so funny because in the car, the mom, I wrote it in my book. The mom's talking about like, this is all my fault. And I literally wrote like, shut up. Not everything's about you.
Yeah.
But also like, I think it is a little bit her fault.
Yeah. I agree. I thought the mother's character was like so insufferable in this book, but in my opinion,
it was written well.
I feel like she was written though in a really like way that felt realistic to me. You know, like she felt like a fleshed out character who like had flaws and like felt real because of them. You know, like I just feel like it, and they had a really interesting relationship, like her and the dad, because I like how it would be described like, oh, the dad is so optimistic and he's such like an easygoing person and he just wants like a simple life kind of thing. And that was like never enough for her. And like she would recognize that like she's a cheater, like that this man is never going to be enough for her. Like it just made her character interesting that she like recognized those things about herself. And then even the discussions about like how she never really knew if she could be a mother in the first place, and kind of the conversations about how like sometimes when people have children like and it's not what they expected and how it's become like kind of a miserable thing in her life. Like I just thought that whole conversation was very interesting and made the characters feel a lot more real to me because I'm like, this is like real shit, you know, like that people deal with in real life, and it's really sad. But I think kind of like what Justin said, like I think this other mommy can be like a metaphor for the trauma of growing up in a family that's unhappy, you know, and like when the mother, like when you can so clearly feel as the child that your mother doesn't want you and that's why she had to invent this other mommy. Maybe like I really thought it could go in that direction too, where
Yeah.
it was like it was all in her head, you know, because she just needed something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that too, especially when we come into the party aspect that they're like, come dance for us.
Yeah. No, that was weird.
I was like, wait, what's gonna happen at this
No.
party that this little girl is gonna dance? Like, what's going on
When
here?
she
I
started
thought it was
talking
gonna
about-
be like,
Yeah, when she started talking about like sometimes when Kelvin and I are alone, he likes to make me dance for him. I was like, what are we about to read? I don't
Wait,
yeah,
But
yeah,
Kelvin was so sweet. I liked him.
I
Yeah.
liked them too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could have done without the dancing scenes, to be honest.
Yeah, I was like, what are we like? What I really thought it was gonna be like some.
It was kind of sad though because she was
sexual-
so used to like everyone loving it, and then now she's looking around and no one's really interested anymore. I was like, that's kind
Yeah.
of sad. That part of
Yeah.
growing up when you're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not a novelty anymore. I'm like turning into an actual human.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I feel like Josh Mallerman is so good at. He's so good at writing these stories about like the harshness of growing up and like how it can be so hard to just get like, you know, thrown into adulthood when you're so young. And I think that whole idea of like her having to like lose her innocence or whatever in order to like grow up or in order to like whatever needed to happen, it was very fascinating and like scary, you know, because it's like, yeah, it is sad that like we try to protect kids from like these awful things or awful truths about their life. And I think Josh Mallerman is so good. Like for me, this one and with Daphne, how he's able to write about like these anxieties or fears that are put into young people about like their futures and their lives and stuff. And he just has such a great way with words. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like he's able to convey that in a way that feels very real to me. And I think that's the scariest thing about this book to me, you know, is like growing up, like that's horrifying.
It is.
Yeah.
When Lois said that thing about like she has to lose her innocence, I was like, what am I reading?
I know.
What is-
I was going to say, how did you feel about that? Like, were you like, wait, what is going on? Or like, what, like, did you anticipate that was going to be the twist of like what happened?
I hate the conversation about innocence. Like I actually detest it because I don't really believe in it. Like I understand it as a concept, but I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And I actually don't think that was like in my theory thing, that wasn't it. That was like a red herring because it didn't end up working.
Yeah.
And I guess the loss of innocence is like knowing like again, this is like how I took the book, that she's the one who killed her parents. Like maybe that's the loss of innocence, that she's the haunting that has been happening. But yeah,
I don't know. I can't like picture that. I'm like trying. I'm like, it's like I love the theory. I love it because it makes it that much more. But I'm like, damn, there's so many other things like behind that I'm like, I can't picture.
Yeah, I'm being delusional. Don't listen.
No, you're not being
delusional.
No, these are great theories. I love this.
I love the theory, but now I feel like I got to read it again so I can put that perspective in.
Yeah.
But the innocence thing, like this little girl. I don't know that there was any innocence there because everything that she heard, not only from her parents, not only seeing at these parties, but also what the other mommy was telling her when she made pretend that she was the actual mom. You know, she was talking about sleeping with other men, the dad not being enough. So I was like, damn, wasn't that a little bit of an innocence takeaway there? Right. Why did we need to do this whole other thing that just did not work? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, were you at all like surprised by the twist, I guess you could say, of like the mom being unfaithful and like her dad is not actually her dad? And like, was any of that surprising to you? Because I don't know, for me, it was kind of surprising, like, even though it probably should have been, because I was like, I mean, it probably was so obvious. Like, of course, the mom's a cheater. She's unfaithful. Of course, like, the dad's not the dad. But I don't know why. I was like, I was gutted to like learn that.
Yeah. I was sort of, I kind of expected it. What took me was when they were telling, because remember that the other mommy is talking about the mom cheating. But I think, because I'm a little bit confused right now. I think that she was referring to that first one, but then she was cheating again with the guy's friend.
Right.
Yeah.
So it kind of like confused me because I was like, wait, she's still doing it again when she went through this with her daughter and the other guy and the other man, and then the other man kicks her out, but then she's doing it again.
Yeah,
with her
like
parent,
it was like a consistent thing. Yeah, she was doing.
Yeah, so I was like kind of like confused there because I was like, damn.
I was surprised that like Dado wasn't her real dad. I was really shocked about that. But the thing that really pissed me off, that whole scene where they go to the beach. First of all, why did they have to go there?
Yeah.
Like, Lois she just showed up. I feel like I thought it was going to be a twist that she was other mommy because she had this like plan. But then
I thought she was
sleeping
with Dado. I thought she was sleeping with Dado there. I was going to say, Dado's not. But...
Hey, if they have an open relationship, might as well. Lois and let's get her. But then she's like, we have to go far away. But then why do you have to sleep on the beach? Like, why can't you get a hotel? I don't know. And then that whole like confession, I don't know if it's because I'm jaded and I've dealt with a lot, like especially in childhood, but I was like, so effing what? Like, I don't know. I felt really mean. I was like, what is this reaction? Why are the parents so like, I understand like telling your kid something big like this.
Yeah.
But then like even Bella's reaction didn't feel like the Bella we had read so far. Like for her to turn around to Dado and be like, "You're not my dad." That felt so like melodramatic.
Yeah.
And I get like she's a kid and she's going to be melodramatic, but like she's not a teenager quite yet.
Yeah.
And like I feel like she would be sad to know all this and sad to see her mom and dad like really upset about this. But I feel like at the most she would just be curious. I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I want to agree too that like her reaction was like a little much, but it's also like she is a kid, so I'm like, I don't know, like, you know, that's why I think you try to prevent kids from finding out stuff like this, because it's like they probably will have an overreaction because they don't fully grasp even everything that you're saying, because like how could they, you know? But I do think that her reaction felt a little off, or like there was just something about that scene that did feel a little off to me too, because like I don't tend to like when books do that whole thing where here's the whole spiel of like everything that happened all at once like that. It just feels a little convenient and like
it was
writing
funny
wise.
Seeing it too in the book because we had gotten so much stilted stuff, and then it was like 4 pages.
It's just like dumb. Yeah, that was a little jarring.
I think the mom was a little overdrawn with the whole and a little too dramatic. But and I understand that she reacted like that, but in a child also they are very forgiving, and I felt like Bella's character with Dado could have been a little bit more forgiving if their relationship was how it was, because at the end of it, okay, he lied, yes, but that was all he did. He didn't, you know, and I'm sure he lied because of the mom, like to support his wife or whatever, but I feel like she would have been a little bit more forgiving in reality.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I don't know, I really loved throughout this book like her relationship with her dad, like, and especially even more so knowing that like this technically wasn't his child, but he like took on the responsibility anyways and like just wanted to be there for her. Like I feel like for me, like one of the biggest highlights of this book for me was the relationship that Bella had with her dad, and like the way that he would talk to her. Yeah, and the grandma. Like their chats. Yeah, like their chats, I know some people will be like, that's unrealistic that he would talk to her about such deep things all the time or whatever, but I loved their chats. Like I loved the way that like there was one part where I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was something about how like your kindness shows how like mature you are, like, you know, like never let them like
true.
Yeah, and like never letting the negativity of the world kind of like take over who you are as a person, and just the way that he would talk to her about such things was like amazing. Like I just loved his relationship with his daughter. Like it was beautiful, and like even to find out the truth at the end that like that wasn't even his biological child, but the way that he still just took her in like that, I loved it. I think it was like the biggest highlight for me of this book.
I think it also showcased like the difference between the mom and the dad. Not to hate on this mom, I feel like weird hating on moms because like I wish I had a mom, but so like when Bella's asleep, even at the beginning, like the difference of like her mom confessing to her child about her sins or whatever. I hate that I said that. I'm sorry. But then Dado, what he chooses to do when he's like drunk or high or whatever, talking to his daughter at night, again, questionable. He's talking about like how she can be a good person and like how she can like be happy with her life. Like, I feel like that's quite a difference. And like Josh Malerman did a great job with both those characters, I feel like.
Yeah. I agree. I was also so touched by like the conversation that the dad was having about like his high school friend who died or whatever. Like that really like moved me too, because it is like, like now anytime something like significant would happen in his life, he'd be like, the first thing I think of is like this guy never got to experience that, or you know, like he would talk about like and he would talk about like the beauty of like life is that people are here. It's not just like the big moments, you know, but it's just like the living and experience of aging and like getting to have those everyday experiences. And like, God, it was just written so well. It like gave me chills. I was like, oh my God, like it's like one of those things where like in books where it just reminds you of like life and like the meaning of life and like how insignificant all the like little daily stuff is, you know, but it's like you're just here for it, you know. I don't know, it was just so beautifully written. I was like, Josh Malerman just has such a way with words sometimes. Like he does, like it moves me, it gets to me emotionally. So okay, and then was there anything, I know, did you have any quotes in particular that you were wanting to share in particular? Because I know there were some good ones, but I didn't know if there was any.
I had one here like saved, but I didn't like put my pencil because since I listened to the audiobook, I didn't keep up with it in the book, which I usually do. I tab everything, but I'm going through something with my tabs. I can't find them anywhere, and I own like 100 of those. But it was something about the grandma talking about how you have a child in there that is pretending to sleep, and she's not sleeping, and it's something along the lines of, imagine her realizing that her parents can't save her or protect her like they should. I was like, oof, grandma, preach.
Yes, that's a good one. The grandma was great. She was such a great character.
My quote's from the grandma too. She said, sorry, I'm bad. On the spot, I'm like, I'm back in school right now.
No,
you'll learn soon enough in life that everybody's nervous about something, and it's the ones who do the things they need to do anyway who end up getting the most out of it. I feel like she and Dado, I like that they were friends too, because it was I see them both like philosophically, they have a lot in common.
That's so cute. I love that. Yeah, the grandma was full of good quotes. Like I was having so many scenes with the grandma talking to the girl because I was like, yeah, she has so much like wisdom, you know, and like I feel like her and the dad were very like similar in that way.
Like, the mom kept trying to be like, oh no, don't tell me about that. And the grandma's like, we literally need to know this shit. Like your daughter's been dealing with this. We need to talk about it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, they had a cute relationship too. Yeah, one of my favorite quotes was the one I just mentioned when the dad is talking to her. It's actually on page 41 when he says, the goal is to stay kind for as long as you can, no matter what happens to you, no matter what you go through, no matter how many breaks you get and how many you don't. And I think you always have to remember that if someone is mean to you, they're like that with everybody else too. I loved the quote, I can't remember if it's on this page or not, but when he was saying like the cruelty of the world is like not just that there's like one mean person, but it's that they have the expectation that everybody else is just as cruel, like something like that. Like, that was like one of my favorite quotes in the book, because I was like, oh my god, like that's horrifying, because it's not just that one person's cruel, it's that there's like an expectation from that one person that you would think the same thing, you know, like that was so powerful to me. And I think there were a lot of quotes like that throughout the book that just really like, wow.
It was a very insightful book, a very insightful book.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then one of the last things I love to talk about in these live shows is like, do you have any books, movies, TV shows that you would compare this to? Like if you enjoyed this, you might really enjoy this as well. And anybody in the chat, if you would like to chime in as well. I think for me, one of the things, I mean, I want to compare this to Daphne by Josh Malerman. Like, I do think, like, for me, they're the most similar out of any of Josh Malerman's books. But then I do think, for some reason, this was kind of reminding me of The Haunting of Hill House, just in the way that, like, she reminded me so much of Nell's character in The Haunting of Hill House. And I think sometimes in The Haunting of Hill House, like, we do get more of the story from, like, the kid's perspective, or, like, what feels like her perspective at times. And I think there was a lot of similarities that I could draw there. But did you have any other recommendations of things you would say?
I don't,
but I have my list ready for what
y'all ready to jot some notes down.
That's right.
I was thinking about Daphne too, especially when I was thinking like this was going to be some metaphor for like innocence or something like that, and it was going to be like a physical manifestation. I was like, okay, wait. And I was scared about that because I didn't like Daphne because of that. But I do think there are a lot of similarities, which makes me want to read Daphne again and be a little nicer about it. But
maybe.
And then I just kept thinking about Coraline.
I know. I was gonna say I saw.
I heard a lot of people talk about that in their reviews. After I finished reading it, I went to look at some of the reviews on Goodreads, and a lot of people were like, "This was just trying to be Coraline." I saw a lot of that. I'm like,
"Oh, interesting."
I feel like you can talk about shit like this, like to no end. So,
yeah,
like it's really interesting seeing different takes on like a child.
Yeah. Right,
being creeped the fuck out. It's pretty fun.
I know. I could see. Yeah, Hidden Pictures would be interesting because it also has like kind of a kid, not a kid perspective, I think, but there is a creepy kid. Yeah, like there's a creepy kid. That's the one with like there's like drawings in it. Like the kid is like
Jason Retzulek.
Yeah, drawing creepy things. Also Skinamarink, I have not seen.
That sounds scary.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Oh, the Babadook is an interesting one, Kendall. That is so true. Stolen Tongues. That's interesting.
I'm
trying to think how it relates. But yes, I love Stolen Tongues though. It's great. A horror version of the song Robin by Taylor Swift. Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay, I can see it. I see it.
Way to
go, Tiger.
Way to go, Tiger. Oh, okay. The movie Cobweb. Oh, interesting. There's some that I'm not familiar with in the chat, so I'll have to come back to these. Very interesting. Well, thank you so much to everybody for joining along with us this month. It was a really great time. It turns out we actually had more to discuss with this book than I initially thought we would, because I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe like, because I was like, maybe there's not as much to talk about, but I think there is a lot of conversation about like the ending, and as far as it's like other mommy creature, like what she represents, you know, like I do think this book is a very interesting one to discuss, and I really appreciate you both taking the time today to discuss it with me and read along with me this month. Do you have anything coming up on your channels that you want to like promote before we head out? Or like
I'm
anything?
in a slump right now, so I'm not. Nothing's happening.
Yeah, you've had a crazy year though, right? You just moved and
yeah.
Where did you move? Oh, I will talk later. But I don't want to be like, where did right in the middle of the live. But I haven't uploaded for a couple weeks, but I do have like my September wrap up just sitting there for weeks without editing. So September wrap up, and I'm wanting to do like my end of the year TBR is insane because like I'm trying to catch up on all my yearly challenge stuff. So nice. I want to do a lot of like reading challenges, like random number generator or like 24-hour reading vlogs. So hopefully you'll see a little bit of that coming up.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I need more reading vlogs from you in my life. I do. Oh yeah, and thank you, Greta, for reminding me. Next month's pick is going to be, or November's pick is going to be Someone in the Attic by Andrea Mara. Yeah, it was a recent Book of the Month pick, or it was available from Book of the Month. It sounds interesting and weird. It's like home invasion, or like there's somebody in the attic ceiling. I don't know. It sounds
the attic.
Creepy. I find that very, very creepy, and I actually voted for that one, so I'm really happy that that's the one we're reading because I could get it from Book of the Month. Yeah, I'm like ecstatic.
I'm glad. Yeah, so hopefully it's a good time. I'm excited to read that one, but yeah, but thank you all so much for joining. We're gonna head out. I hope you have a good rest of your Friday night. Thank you so much for being here. If you're not familiar with Marcy or Ali, I will have their channels linked down below. Highly encourage you to check them out because they're amazing. And thanks for hanging out with us. We will see you next time. Bye.